a major share of population around us is in dire need of our assistance and support. We might disregard the short volume of our help, but it is drops of water that make large oceans. These marginalized groups also wish to live and lead a contented life. India, the fastest developing country in the Asian continent, is the 7th largest country by area, the second most populous country with over 1.2 billion people, and the most populous democracy in the world. When the media is celebrating the developing phase of India, there is a grim reality of people living in slums and ghettos without even proper food and sanitation. The living conditions of them are just opposite of the metro life. The rising concrete jungle is surely a threat to the environment, at the same time a monstrous laughter to the face of those who are devoid of food, shelter, clothes, and education. Facts show that more than half of the Indian population live below the poverty line. United Nations has observed that poverty head-count ratio for Muslims is the highest among the states of Assam, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, and Gujarat, even as it expressed satisfaction over India's efforts to meet the Millennium Development Goals in important areas. The attempts taken by the government do not reach at the needy who are struggling to get one-time food, a roof, shelter, and clothes to cover them. This reiterates the service of charity organization and selfless service groups. Here lies the importance of Relief and Charitable Foundation of India, the organization with unparalleled humanitarian services in and outside India. The wide range of activities initiated by the RCFI reached to a variety of suffering people and the downtrodden inhabitants in the outskirts of Indian cities and remote areas of Indian states. One need not wait for the governmental system to reach aid and assistance to the adversely affected and to provide education to the unprivileged. These are now personal responsibilities of each individual. Relief and Charitable Foundation of India's ideologies are based on these principles. A non-governmental charitable trust founded in 2000 by a group of service-oriented men and professionals who are united with a common philosophy. RCFI researches and analyzes the need of the suffering population and finance, distribute, and support the genuine requirements of them through transparent means. Our initiatives are targeted at providing sustenance, education, and health to the disadvantaged children, and we strive to alleviate poverty, help orphan, widows, and destitute to improve the quality of their lives. In the process, becoming the leading charity provider and making a smile on the face of thousands of lives. It is not a surprise. Over a decade of working for the poor children and their families across the states of India, we have learned that lasting change is only possible when we tackle the root causes that continue to keep them uneducated, exploited, and vulnerable. RCFI also focuses on humanitarian and emergency relief and rehabilitation programs. But there are yet many miles to go. Join us to enhance the standard of living of the millions around us by offering food, shelter, education, and livelihood. Even your timely involvement may sometimes enable them to walk with us. RCFI believes in the practical model of Prophet Muhammad, who set an example of making and providing an axe to a man who came asking for alms. This is an imitable illustration that if we equip someone to earn his daily bread rather than giving him temporary donations, which will not only give him means to his necessities, but will also endow him with a sense of pride. RCFI guides the unemployed and unwaged and distributes self-employment tools in the form of shops, missionaries, and financial help for the self-employment. Since the introduction, hundreds of families have been attaining self-sufficiency through the scheme. The significance of education must not be looked down. Mere material sufficiency to an individual reaches him nowhere if proper educational support is not given. RCFI not only equips the uncared people with modern schooling, but guards their morality with strong spiritual backing. There are basic schools, secondary and higher secondary schools, and religious education centers functioning in different parts of the country under the aegis of RCFI. The medical care wing of RCFI, under the banner Medicina, is a full-equipped medical provision unit. It is a soothing and solace to the ailing and suffering, collecting medical aid, establishing medical shops, and distributing life-saving essential medicines are carried out through the volunteers of Medicina. Further, arranging surgeries and specialized treatments for the poor in association with leading healthcare groups are registered and disposed by Medicina. An orphan is always a remark to the rest of the world to be taken care of. The latest UNICEF data shows that 1 in 3 malnourished children worldwide are found in India, whilst 42% of the nation's children below 5 years of age are underweight. So a major share of the relief work under RCFI goes for the welfare and rehabilitation of the orphans and destitute children. RCFI has opened homes for orphan and poor children in many parts of the country. Students are given with food, accommodation, and education with free cost. Additionally, these students are offered trainings in art, craft, and vocational subjects and modern life skills. Perhaps the most neglected section of the society is this: one should show extreme readiness and patience to the needs of them. RCFI focuses attention on the differently abled children and youngsters by providing them with special school, aid and care centers. Monthly stipends and pensions are given to the deserving applicants after strict evaluation. There are aged and widow supporting programs giving great solace to these sections. Human beings are unable to predict calamities, either natural or man-made. And the only thing we can do is to make available immediate relief and solace to those affected. Rehabilitation and resurgence are prime concerns of RCFI by meeting the instant needs of the hour. Drinking water shortage is the alarming concern in many parts of the country. RCFI has been digging wells, bore wells, and engineering distribution of potable water in Bihar, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Assam, Kashmir, Kerala, and other states since its inception. So far, 1,371 drinking water projects have been commissioned in various states. Blessed are we with sumptuous food to eat and pure water to drink. Think of those who are deprived of these basic needs, leading a life like that of a cattle. On their relief routine, the volunteers of RCFI were startled with the appalling sight of the people living in extreme poverty and malnutrition in the slums and gullies, and made up supporting them in the scheme. Hygienic and nourishing food kits are supplied in many parts of the country. A recent addition to the charitable services of RCFI is the housing schemes for those who are in want of a safe shelter. While enjoying the heavenly comforts and multi-storied villas, one should find a little time to think about the plights of millions of the fellow beings who are sleeping in the streets and ghettos, irrespective of the winter or summer, and in utter filthy circumstances. Fortunate are we who have our own houses and apartments, and RCFI reminds you not to ignore our own brothers who eagerly wait for our compassionate looks and constructive actions. Medical missions, construction of schools, cultural centers, orphanages, reading rooms, girls' education centers, distribution of meat and food provisions in rural areas which are alienated from the mainstream care make the agendas of RCFI. Mere sympathies do not fulfill the dreams of the marginalized population, and one cannot shut his eyes to them. As masjids are the most important cultural and spiritual destinations, RCFI constructed more than 1,000 masjids across the country. All masjids are in the different parts of the nation as it has been constructed, as the most of the Muslims are getting benefited. Along with the masjid construction, RCFI concentrated on building madrasas, religious teaching centers, to keep the community a knowledgeable society. As per the well-planned program of RCFI, lakhs of people are getting educated through the thousands of madrasas constructed and run by RCFI in the different parts of the country. In a short span of time, 600 primary education centers where more than 21,000 students are studying, 1,800 scholarships, 10,000 educates, 1,371 wells, which are beneficial for more than 27,000 families, 825 bore wells, 522 water tanks, 5,26,600 food relief kits, regular food for the sick people, food for the orphans and widows, supporting self-employment schemes, etc., are some of the humanitarian and charitable initiatives undertaken by RCFI. Motivated by ethical principles, fueled by strong wills, and devoted with sincere intentions, RCFI marches ahead towards the suffering terrains, of course, anticipating a strong support from all the lovers of humanity. RCFI is seeking the involvement and cooperation of those who are lucky enough to enjoy a bountiful life, to share some time, care and console for the less privileged, who are eagerly waiting for the drops of life outside our closed windows.
Come on, my brothers, let us pray.